Northward Knitter, episode 3. My name is Heather. I'm coming at you from Whitehorse in the Yukon in northern Canada. It's been a little while since episode 2. I've been away for work, so I haven't had the opportunity to film this episode until now, but I do have a little bit of knitting to show you guys this episode, so let's get into it. First thing, we need to talk about the weather. It's no longer fall here. I think winter is here. It's been snowing off and on for the past couple weeks. And I don't know where fall went. Fall is one of my favorite times of year. I love it. I love being able to go out in just a sweater. I love the leaves turning. Fall is over. The leaves have fallen here and now there's snow falling on the ground. So I have pulled out my Icelandic sweater because it's getting chilly out. So this is what I'm wearing. I'm wearing my Afmæli 20th anniversary sweater. So this is a pattern from Ístex, which is the company that makes Léttlopi. According to Ravelry, I knit this 7 years ago. Over 7 years ago. There's a fun little story behind this sweater. So my dad has a friend that used to work in Iceland, and he went back to visit and called up my dad and was like, hey, do you know anybody that likes yarn? And my dad was like, hey, I know somebody. He asked what I wanted. I picked out this pattern and I picked out the colors of yarn. So these are all the colors that the pattern called for. I did pick out a couple different options because this one uses a lot of different colors. So that's a lot of balls of yarn. And I was like, okay, this is my ideal dream one. But if you don't want to send me that much yarn, here's some other options. A couple weeks later, I got a box in the mail and it was all the colors that I wanted. So this is my sweater. I managed to knit this sweater in a week, which I think it's my record sweater. I don't think I've ever finished a sweater that fast since. It was a really, really nice gesture for him to send me this yarn. And I asked him how much I owed him and he was like, just send me a bottle of whiskey. So my dad sent him a bottle of whiskey. So this is my whiskey sweater. And I did end up knitting him a hat because I only used a little bit of each of these colors. I had a lot of leftovers, so I ended up actually knitting him a hat using, I think the main color was this dark brown, and then I ended up just incorporating all the different colors in a little pattern for a hat for my dad's friend. So that's the story behind my Icelandic sweater. This is one of my favorite sweaters. I love this thing. I can't wear it when it's too warm out though, because it's Icelandic wool. It's a little bit itchy. So if it's warm at all, it just gets even itchier. I tend to pull this out on colder days. That's my Afmæli. As always, I'll put a picture up here of what it looks like on. That's what I'm wearing today. Let's get into finished objects, or I should say finished object, because I only have one this episode. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw me working on this one about 5 days ago. I just cast it on, but I ended up finishing it, and that is the Burnaby hat by Jared Flood. It's a chunky weight hat, so it was a very, very fast knit. I knit it, I think, probably in about 3 days while me and my roommate were watching Squid Game. I did make some modifications. I made the brim a little bit longer. So normally it's just a straight brim with a half twisted rib. For this one, I generally don't like how those kinds of hats look on me. I like the folded brim. So I did it longer, about twice the length that it called for. And then I also did the twisted part inside out. So instead of twisting the knit stitches, I twisted the purl stitches. So I knit through the back loop, or I purled through the back loop, and then did it long enough that I could fold it over. So then you can see the twisted rib on the outside instead of hidden on the other side of the brim. It's got this really cool cable and texture pattern, so it's kind of like a Gansey sweater. And yeah, so this is the hat. I do wish I made it maybe a little bit longer, but I do kind of like how it looks. I do still have to block it though. We'll see how it fits. And then I may put a pom-pom on the top. I'm not sure. I do have a real fur pom-pom that I got from Itsy Bitsy Yarn Store, which is my local yarn store here in Whitehorse. She sells all different colors of real fur pom-poms, and they are so soft and so nice. You can make it so they're removable. So I may do that, and then also make a yarn one and make that one removable. And so then I can swap them, but I haven't decided what I want to do yet. The yarn that I used is Brooklyn Tweed Quarry. I put in an order recently for Beehive Yarns down in Vancouver because they stock Llama magazine. So I put in an order to get Llama magazine, and then I didn't want to pay all that shipping for just the magazine. So I was like, I should get some yarn. So I got some yarn for another pattern, which I'll talk about later. But I did get 2 skeins of Quarry, which is a chunky weight yarn. It's American Targhee Columbia wool. So it's all American. So the wool is sourced from Wyoming. It's spun in New Hampshire and it's dyed in Pennsylvania. It's a woolen spun yarn. So it's quite light. It's a single, so it isn't quite as strong, but it's still really nice to work with. It's nice and soft. So it's chunky weight, 3 to 3.5 stitches per inch on a 6 to 8 millimeter needle. I used a 5 millimeter needle for the ribbing and the 6.5 millimeter needle for the rest of it, like the pattern called for. And I think it makes a great fabric, and I think this is going to be nice and warm for the winter. I did get 2 skeins, so I haven't decided what I want to do with the second skein. I may make myself a pair of mitts to match my hat. But I haven't decided yet. We'll see. Yeah, so it was kind of a whim to get the Quarry, and then to pick the pattern. I went on Ravelry and I was like, what do you suggest for hat patterns for this yarn? And this one popped up. And so that's what I did. That's the Burnaby hat. My one and only finished object for this episode. But I have been working on other things, so let's get into works in progress. It's a little too warm to be wearing that hat indoors, so I'm gonna have to take that off. I have 2 works in progress that I showed you guys last week. So the first one I want to talk about is my hand spun socks. So I showed you guys these last episode, and I think I'd only done about that much. I have almost a whole sock. So these I'm doing toe up, and I did the contrast heel. I was talking about that last time. Because I didn't want to interrupt color gradient, because it's such a short color change that I didn't want to interrupt. I didn't want to get a line in the foot of the sock. So I ended up doing the contrast heel using the other end of the ball. So I got this cool little green heel there. And then I've just been working away on the leg. So you can see it's a little bit more marled than the foot. But I'm having so much fun with what colors are coming up next and how the colors mix together. And it's been a lot of fun. I worked on these quite a bit while I was away for work in camp, and we were staying in these wall tents with wood stoves, so my sock now smells like campfire. It's great. I love it. But you can see I am just at the ribbing on the end, so I've just got a couple more rounds to go, and that will be done this sock, and then I can move to the second sock, which I'm excited for because I don't know what colors are going to come up next on that one. I've got quite a bit left on this ball. So once I do my second sock, I might have a whole bunch left over. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the leftovers, but we'll see. I don't really have much more to say about my handspun sock other than we're getting there. We're almost done the first one. I was hoping to have it done before this episode, before I started filming this episode. But I've been busy working on other things. The second work in progress I have for you guys, I was talking about it last episode. I think I showed you guys my gauge swatch for it, but I have made some progress on my Big Love cardigan. So this is the Big Love cardigan by Ankestrick, and I have the top of the back done. So sorry, I have to kind of spread it out, but this is the back of the collar. And then I've knit the top of the back, and now I'm working on the right front. So this is going to be like folded over. I think I'm making some pretty good progress on it. You can see a very nice texture pattern all across the back. Lots and lots of ribbing. But yeah, so this one I did do a gauge swatch for, which I was very, very proud of myself until I went to go measure my gauge swatch, and it turns out my gauge is off. but I didn't want to change needle size to reach gauge because I really liked the fabric that it made and I liked the drape and I didn't want to mess with that. So rather than doing another gauge swatch and trying to change needle sizes, I decided to change the size I was going to do. So my plan was to do a medium or a large, and instead I cast on for the extra large. That's how much my gauge was off. Based on my calculations, it should fit. It is a little bit oversized, so I'm not too worried about the fit. The only thing I'm really worried about is when it's saying to knit so many rows. But she does give measurements as well, so that makes it kind of handy so that I can just like keep knitting rows until I reach the measurement that I want. So I think the size is gonna work out. That is what I have so far on my Big Love cardigan. I think I've made some pretty good progress on it so far. And the third work in progress I have, I don't think I showed you guys this before. It's one of my many unfinished objects that I have in my UFO basket. Normally I'm a DPN forever kind of girl. I love my double point needles. I love doing socks one at a time, DPNs for life. But I got this sock blank from Yarn Over New York. The color is Irridescent, which I don't know if she dyes this one anymore. And you can see that the yarn coming off here, there's 2 strands coming off. And that is so that you can do 2 matching socks. But in order to knit them, the easiest way to do it is to do magic loop 2 at a time. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not hating it. I don't mind doing it this way. It makes it easier when it's coming off the sock blank. It doesn't get as tangled. So these I'm doing just plain vanilla socks. This is the foot of them. So I'm doing toe up. I'm doing a short row heel. And I'm now working on the leg of them. So for these ones, I was thinking of doing a contrast heel. My Handspun socks, I was talking about doing a contrast heel because I'd seen somebody working off of a sock blank, and in order to not interrupt the color gradient, they started using the other end of the sock blank to do the heel. And I was going to do that, and I actually started doing that, but it was getting quite tangled and I couldn't deal with it. So I ended up just keeping going with the one end of the sock blank. And I was worried about having that line on the foot like I was talking about. But as you can see, it actually doesn't look too bad. The gradient kind of keeps going and you can even really notice where I stopped to do the heel. So I'm just going to keep going like that. And then as for how long I'm going to do them, usually I do like 6.5 to 7.5 inches for the leg and the cuff. But I think these ones, I just want to get all these beautiful colors in there. So I think I'm just going to do the leg as long as I can. So those are my Yarn Over New York socks. And I'll put all the details in the description box below. Those are the works in progress I have for this episode. And now I want to talk about some future projects that I have. I love talking about future projects. I mentioned this one last episode. So it's from the book Moon and Turtle, which I recently got when I was down in Vancouver. And I think I showed this to you guys, but it's this hood with the face mask on it. So I recently got some yarn for that. So like I mentioned earlier, I did put in an order from Beehive Yarns down in Victoria. And so while I was doing my order, I was like, I want some yarn to do this hood. Because I didn't really have any in my stash. I picked up some Juniper Moon Santa Cruz organic merino wool. It's a worsted weight yarn. It's super soft and squishy. So I got smoked for the main color, and then I got cardamom for the contrast color. So that's for the face mask part, and then also the drawstrings. So I got 2 skeins of the smoked, 1 skein of the cardamom. I don't know when I'm going to cast this on. Probably pretty soon because winter is here. Although I'll have lots of time because winter's like 8 months long here. So, but yeah, so that's my plan for this and for the hood. The next future project I have, also kind of a fiber acquisition, I guess. I got some fiber recently. It was on a whim. I happened to be downtown just doing a little bit of shopping, and I walked by the yarn store, and I just kind of casually asked, what kind of spinning fiber do you have? And she happened to have some beautiful bats made by Brittany of Crux Fibres, she is a local dyer here in Whitehorse, but she also makes bats for spinning. And I picked up this one. It's absolutely gorgeous. You can just see all these really nice colors. It's called Warm Nights, and I was like, I think I need that. Brittany makes beautiful things. Check out her Instagram. She's Crux Fibres. She's always posting about what she's dyeing and bats that she's making, and she also did a whole series on how to make sourdough. So she's incredible. I love her stuff. The bat I got is 100 grams of fiber. It's called Warm Nights. And I have a whole list here of all the fiber content. So it is 35% merino silk, 10% brown alpaca from Sunshine Coast, BC, 15% brown Quarrydale, 15% brown Yukon wool from Dawson City, and 25% of white Romney from Sunshine Coast, BC. So lots of different beautiful fibers. It is so soft and so squishy, and I probably shouldn't squish it too much because I have to spin that. But normally I spin from commercially prepared top, which is easy to spin worsted, and that's normally how I do things. I haven't spun a bat since I first learned how to spin. And so it's something that I've wanted to do for a while after following a bunch of spinners on Instagram, and especially Brittany of Crux Fibres. She's so inspiring. So I was like, okay, I need to get one of her bats. And so that's something that I'm hoping to spin up soon. So yeah, that is most of my knitting and fiber related content I have for you for this episode. So I did want to do a little bit of a chatter section of this episode. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I got a new camera. It's something that I've wanted for a while now. The old camera that I was using is probably about 6 or 7 years old now. And when I got it, it was already a little bit outdated, and I mainly bought it for taking pictures, not so much for video. So I wanted a camera that was better for doing video, but also I'm going away soon for work, and I wanted to get a new camera so I could document a little bit of that, something that was better at doing video. So yeah, I'm filming on my new Canon M50 Mark II, it's a mirrorless camera. But you can switch the lenses on it, and it's better for video and also better for taking pictures as well. So hopefully things look a little bit better. I don't know. I did also get a microphone. I'm not using it this time. I need to figure out the whole microphone setup thing. This is all new to me, but hopefully I can get better sound. I don't know what the sound is like on this one, but we'll see. Anyways, like I said, I'm going out of town soon, again for work. And this time I'm actually heading south instead of north. So I am going down to Nevada and Idaho. And I'm going to be gone for 6 weeks. It's going to be a while. That means episode 4, it's going to be a while. I would love to film on a regular schedule, but I think I mentioned in previous episodes that it's just not possible with my work schedule. I'm usually away for long periods of time, so it just means that I can't film on a set schedule because my work's not on a set schedule. I'm hoping that I can maybe film some stuff while I'm down there, or maybe do some sort of vlog style. I know that some people have asked if I can do vlog style so they can see where I live. So I'm hoping to do something like that, but I'm still new to YouTube and filming. So I'm going to try my best. It's going to be a while for episode 4. So please have patience. The other new addition I have is I found a friend for Jermaine. So this, if you didn't know, this is Jermaine, my monstera. And I recently purchased some new houseplants because that's another thing I love. I love houseplants. It's unfortunate that I'm away for so long. I have to rely on other people to look after them. They do a great job though. But this is my other new plant. I'm terrible at pronouncing the name. It's a Dieffenbachia? I don't know. It's really pretty. So this is one of my new plants. Actually, the reason I got a whole bunch of new plants is I have this coffee table from the 80s that has like those glass panels in it. So it's got 3 glass panels and it's actually missing 1 panel. So instead of replacing the glass, we just put a bunch of plants in there. And so we have like a little jungle growing out of the coffee table. I'll insert a picture of that. But yeah, so I managed to find a bunch of houseplants from Canadian Tire and a bunch of really cute pots. And we just put them in the middle of the coffee table and it actually looks pretty good. It means I have a whole lot more plants to take care of. All right, that's all I have to share with you guys this episode. It's a little bit shorter than normal, and I wish I had more to show you guys, but that's all I've been working on. So hopefully next episode, I'll have more to show you guys. I love reading your guys' comments, so comment down below. Let me know what you're working on, where you're watching from. What are you guys watching? I just finished Squid Game. A little bit disturbing, but really good. If you like this episode, throw me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, you could subscribe as well. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great day and happy knitting. Bye!